Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Derby International Business School and to the University of Derby. And here in the Cavendish building, can I welcome Theo Paphitis?
Thank you.
Lovely to have you with us today. Today's session, I'm going to read the title. So the title is, You Already Have What It Takes, Unlocking Your Entrepreneurial Potential. And then the theme of our session today is that entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business. It's a mindset and a set of behaviours already present in everyday life. I'm conscious that today we have a real mix in our audience. We're delighted to have a very big audience on the other side of our camera. And our audience is undergraduates, postgraduates, online students, alumni, mature students. Many of those are making decisions to study in an atypical way because they are wrestling with other challenges in life. They may have jobs or families or caring responsibilities. They might be on the other side of the world, but they are students who are from all sorts of different walks of life and backgrounds. And we're delighted to have you with us today. So thank you for joining us. And hopefully today, in our conversation with Theo, we're going to be able to tease out some of the aptitudes and behaviours that you potentially already have as our part of our community and recognise that they are already entrepreneurial attributes and skills, and then how you're going to be able to use those going forwards. So I have been set 4 particular themes for this session, and my 4 themes are to help students identify hidden entrepreneurial behaviours in their everyday lives, to address imposter syndrome and self-doubt, which happens to us all, explore how to turn lived experience into opportunity, and to offer practical insights on making the most of opportunities in uncertain environments. So that's the context as to why we're here today. So, as I said, thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to start with my first question, which might be a little bit surprising. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Wow. If I'm perfectly honest, Alex, I didn't have a clue. I was 16 when I left school with dyslexia, couldn't pass any exams. I got the odd certificate we can come on to later, but it wasn't massively academic. So my options were very limited, but I believed I was bright. Unfortunately, my exam results did not say I was bright. Instead, they said the opposite. But I was an incredibly curious individual. I wanted to know everything. I was like a sponge. I bought tech magazines before the word tech existed. New Scientist magazine, as it was in those days. I wanted to know how things worked. So I suppose I had good dexterity. I liked science, but couldn't do exams, so I could not pass. I did chemistry, physics, and what's the other one? Biology. Failed all 3.
Theologies.
Yeah, failed all 3. I was devastated, but I enjoyed every lesson. But I could not do exams. So I suppose I thought maybe I'd become some form of engineer because that was my interest. But sadly, it was difficult to become an engineer with no qualifications.
I know this is about you, but I wanted to be in the pit crew of the Formula One Ferrari team.
Oh,
Outrageous.
Fangirl.
However,
Fangirl.
absolutely.
Fangirl.
However, I was very, very good at maths.
Right.
So
why didn't you become an engineer then?
Because I was also dreadful at physics and chemistry, which is really unusual to be really great at maths, but not good at physics and chemistry. And I was shocking, absolutely shocking.
But you remember all the names? That was my biggest problem.
Not at all. I did not, from an educational perspective, I didn't flourish until I did my chartered accountant's exams. Everything else was such a hard slog. It was so difficult, which is ironic that I'm now director of business school. But that was
being good at numbers. Here's an advantage, and that was probably my saving grace, that I was good at numbers. I couldn't remember all the formulas. And in the days when I went to school, there was no such thing as a calculator, right? You had logarithms and a slide rule. That's how you work things out, or you did it in your head, or there was formulas that you would apply. And I couldn't remember any of them. But give me a challenge. It took me a bit longer than everybody else, but I would get there. So being good at numbers is important. And in fairness, if you're going to be in business, people say to me, well, I'm not good with numbers. And I go, oh, I'm going to say shit, because it's such a key part of it. Even if you're creative, if you're going to be running a business, numbers are important. That doesn't mean you have to be brilliant, but please never, ever, ever, ever say you're not good at numbers and then expect to be in business. And if you're struggling, take some time out to cover those areas. Now, you don't have to be brilliant, because you can employ brilliant people to be good at numbers. You just need to understand the numbers. You don't have to do them. You just need to understand what they say.
Do you recognize some of the attributes that you had as a little boy, as a young man at school, now in your business career, in that career that served you so well? Do you recognize some of the behaviors and attributes that you had then as a young person, now as a slightly older person?
I am still the same so-and-so I was when I was 13. In fact, forget that, 9. I would dismantle things, open things up. I was curious about how things worked. I wanted to know how everything worked. I'd take things apart, could never put them together again afterwards. That was a problem. And I wanted to know. And I wanted anything I saw, I was curious about. Even walking down the street, I'd see something and I'd try and work out why. And I kept my eyes open. And I talk about that a lot, about walking with your eyes open, living your day with your eyes open.
So therefore, can I deduce from that it is not a surprise to your younger self that you are a businessman and an entrepreneur? You can see the journey.
I can definitely see the journey now.
Could you see it then?
No. And the reason I couldn't see the journey then, because I had to leave school at 16, because I couldn't stay on to do my A-levels, because my exam results weren't good enough. So I knew I could never, ever become an accountant or a solicitor or one of the professions. That was never going to be me. And the thought of being in business and running a business without having some qualifications was just a no-no in those days. That was never going to happen. So for me, it was a job at British Telecom, maybe, or good in my hands, maybe a plumber. Didn't fancy doing brickwork because I'd like my nails. I felt that I would have to go into one of the trades. That business was definitely not an option for me. What I didn't know, Alex, at the time, that all business is common sense. That's what it is. If you think about law, common law, everything to do with law is common sense. Business is common sense. Logic. And if you've got that mentality, then you can apply that.
Do you think it's, I'm genuinely going off track here,
Oh dear.
but I'm sure they won't. Do you think it's easier to be an entrepreneur now than it was 30 years ago?
Oh, that's the most ridiculous question, Alex, you've ever asked. It is. It's
I'm sure I've asked.
No. This one.
This is the one.
This is going to go. Someone, please make a note. It is so much more easy now. Honestly, I think we've all learned so much of the way we lead our lives. And technology has brought so many things to us that I would say that in everyday life, we're being entrepreneurial. The way we lead our lives, we're being entrepreneurial. I was speaking to a lady the other day who holds a very high position at an embassy. And she said, I wish I gave a talk at. I said, oh, a few days later, I was so inspired by your talk. I went into the office and I started saying to everybody, right, we're in business. Forget that we're who we are. We're a business. We're going to treat the place like a business. And she said, but then again, she said, I'm not a businesswoman. And I went, yes, you are. You got it right first time round. But then you talked yourself out of it.
So our message to our audience is, don't talk yourself out.
Do not
Don't
talk yourself out of it.
it.
It's so easy to allow yourself to be talked out of it or to talk yourself out of it.
So I'm going back onto track now. Recognizing hidden skills, helping our audience to see themselves. So my first question there is, what does entrepreneurial mean to you?
Having an open mind. Having no barriers. Not allowing no barriers. Not allowing barriers to stop you thinking in a certain way. Challenge. Not just be accepting of everything. Curiosity, and we keep talking about it, is pushing those boundaries all the way. The invention. Can I do this a different way? Can I do this a different way? How many of you out there see something and you see either a business or you see a government department and you think, my God, these people are so stupid. I could do it so much better. But the reality is you probably can. But the fact is they've been doing it like that for so many years that we come to accept that that's how it's done.
So that I'm going to interrupt because that's really interesting. So in a university situation, we spend a lot of our time looking at entry criteria, for example. And traditionally within education, entry criteria is about qualifications, pre-experience within education. But actually, if I follow that train of thought, there are other skills and attitudes and behaviors that we should be starting to look for within my system in education, but also within business in general. So if I'm taking this from the audience's perspective, what skills should they start recognizing maybe in themselves that they hadn't previously seen as something that could be valuable in becoming a businessman, a businesswoman, an entrepreneur? What skills should they start to say, hang on a minute, that curiosity, that's actually a skill and I can sell that.
I've got common sense. I know I've got common sense. Yes, I haven't got 3 A levels. So I don't naturally qualify to come to the university. But you know what? He has, she has, and I know I've got more common sense than them. I actually know that I'm as bright as them. I know I'm inquisitive. I know I have the passion to learn. Do you know what? It might take me a little bit longer than him or her. That doesn't mean they're going to be better than me. Because when I've got it, I've got it. And I'm gonna remember it. And I'm going to be able to apply it. And I've got the will. So many people go to university, do degrees, and then don't have the will to do anything with them afterwards. They don't value them. Don't value what I was told to go to university because everyone in my family has gone to university, and I've got a degree, and I've actually got a first-class honours degree. Oh, whoopee woo. Now what? How are you going to apply those 3 years of learning? And I would say to you, I'd apply mine better than most because I value it. And if it takes me longer, I'll work harder. If I need to know more, I'll be inquisitive and learn more. In today's age, I don't have to wait for the next lecture. I can go online and learn so much in between that by the time I come to my lecture, do you know what? I can have a proper debate with my lecturer and I can challenge them. And if I've got something wrong, they'll explain it to me.
I have a friend who has recently written a book. She is married, 3 children, who are all at that phase of life where they need to be taxied to every possible
All been there.
club and activity, and they're all in different places at different locations. She runs her own business, incredibly intelligent. She also undertakes challenges. So extreme challenges, climbing ridiculously high mountains.
Physical challenge. Oh my God.
So she recently did one of the, I'll get the name wrong, but one of the SAS 3 peaks where
Right.
she climbed one during the day and at night she climbed a different one. Ridiculous things that we read about in the papers and think, wow.
And it's not all down to the fact that she needs to get away from the kids.
I think so, probably. Yes. So she's out of the school.
Right.
So I know you don't know her. You don't have any idea who I'm talking about. Her book is all about how you balance life and work and everything you're trying to achieve. But I wonder what characteristics, what strengths enable her to be an active mum, wife, director, businesswoman, author, extreme challenge. What makes her? What gives her that sparkle to be able to do all of those things and succeed?
Well, I don't know, so I can't psychoanalyze your friend, but sounds like she's got massive resilience for a start, massive passion for life, massive requirement to achieve, and she sounds like she's an overachiever big time, right? That she just wants to achieve, and that's what makes her tick, right? And she's likely to be successful at whatever she does, not because she's brilliant at everything she does, because she's sadly probably not. But she will achieve because from pure will to achieve. And if you're trying to climb up mountains, there's going to be times where you're going to say, I've had enough. So what's driving her personality to get to that next level? And why does she get out of bed every morning to do it? People ask me why I get out of bed at my age to do the work and the hours that I do. And that's because I love doing what I do. So when the morning comes, I want to get out of the house. I want to do more of what I do. And that is key in lots of business people. When you talk about balance, and I love it when people say, oh, Mr. Paphitis, I want to start my own business, but I want to have my work-life balance. And I'll say, well, don't then, go and do something else. Because there is no such thing. When you're in business, successful business, you breathe it, you live it, and the rest of your life fits in around it. And the two actually do merge together quite beautifully, because what happens over a period of time is your friends are normally your business acquaintances, and your business acquaintances become your friends, and you build this network which just self-propels itself further. And you get both in one glass, as I say.
Which also reminds me of a word that we used in our conversation before, which was grit.
Yeah.
Grit, resilience.
Because you will screw up, right? And those of you out there, I'm sure you're all perfect. You've never messed up in your whole entire life. I don't think that's true. We all do. I do regularly. When you mess up, you need to recognize you messed up, see what lessons you're going to learn from it. Don't do it again. So bloody well learn the lesson and move on, because you can't turn the clock backwards. That will happen a lot in business. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. If I took my shirt off now, I won't. You'll see on my back many scars. Not real scars, clearly. Many business scars where I've got things wrong. And they've been costly. But you don't stop there. You get up again.
Which leads me very nicely onto my third theme, which is imposter syndrome. So confidence, practicalities, not abstract. Self-doubt can occur for all of us in many, many different ways, often depending on the environment and the scenario. Have you ever experienced self-doubt, and what did you do in that situation?
I think last time I experienced it, Alex, was 20 minutes ago. About 20 minutes ago, when you sat down, didn't have a clue what we're going to be talking about, and you said, don't worry, it'll be fine. And I went, oh, poo. Everybody does. We're humans. Anybody says they don't, is a liar, or is going to end up in the poo themselves, because you need it. You need to have that little bit of self-doubt. Not too much of it, but enough to question what you're doing. Enough to think about what you're doing. Confidence is great. Overconfidence can be dangerous. So I still have imposter syndrome. Practically all the people I know who are successful still have moments of it. Because remember, we all came from where we came from. We were kids, right? Very few of us had privileged lifestyles. We got to where we got today by working incredibly hard and being focused. And we've had a few knocks on the way. And we never think we're as good as him or her, because they've had a better lifestyle growing up, or they've got more qualifications, or they've got a better job, or they've got a title. Well, that's all nonsense. Be good at what you do. Have confidence in what you do. A bit of self-doubt is not a problem. Not too much, just like not too much confidence. Be confident, but not to the extent where you ignore the signs that we all come across.
Which leads me nicely into one of my favourite quotes. So I've already admitted that I'm a Formula One fan. I've also admitted I'm a Ferrari fan. No judgment.
One win, and you're getting carried away with yourself.
No, I know, very excited. Ross Brawn once said that luck was preparation waiting for an opportunity back in the day. And that phrase has stayed with me, well, ever since he said it. The idea that actually luck is important. We all need a little bit of luck, but actually it's about the preparation. It's about making sure that wherever possible, we have prepared and we're ready to go.
Well, Gary Player, the golfer, had a saying as well, which I'm sure you know. And it goes something like, do you know what? The harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. Amazing, that. Exactly. And I think that's the same. And Ross is genius, an absolute genius. And he's now working for the FIA, I think. Yeah, absolute genius.
But so for me, the imposter syndrome, the luck, the preparation, doing everything you can to prepare yourself for the environment you're about to face.
You're giving yourself more opportunity to be successful. You know what? We talked about it earlier. When I was at school, because of my dyslexia, my friendship group could finish their homework in a fraction of the time I could finish my homework. And I just thought, God, they're so lucky, because they could, and they were lucky. But I had to work to be as lucky as them. But I had to work a lot harder just to be as lucky as them.
So your friendship group then were from all different walks of life, different people, different skill sets, and many people in our audience today are in the same situation. They're all from different walks of life, and they've had different experiences. They're from what we would call in higher education non-traditional pathways, potentially. Yeah. Life isn't a linear path. What strengths can be gleaned from navigating through those different pathways? Name a key attribute that you can gain because your path has been different to somebody else's.
From the attributes of not taking the traditional path, the University of Life, as we call it, which is the one I went to.
Yes. Very good.
The University of Life is incredibly tough, a lot tougher than institutions like Derby, who really are leaders in making sure that you leave university after a period, whether it's 3 years or 4 years, with the knowledge and equipment you need and the tools that you need to be successful in life. So you can imagine if you then go to do a job and no one's giving you those tools, but somebody else has got the tools and you're competing. It's incredibly tough and you get hurt. You have to have a lot more resilience because you're learning on the job. You're making mistakes that have got consequences. You make a mistake during your coursework at uni. What happens? Lecturer marks it, goes, don't be a silly boy or girl. Look, that's not how it works. It's like this. If you do it in the University of Life, you get hurt.
Got to bounce back.
It's costly. So you must have that university is a tough old university, and I'm very grateful to it. But you do have to have an immense amount of resilience.
Pathways by which we all navigate our future careers have expanded enormously. That it could be, as you say, it could be university, it could be the University of Life, it could be online learning, it could be apprenticeships, it could be a degree, it could be anything. There's so many differences now. Should we be comparing ourselves when people have been on different journeys? Should we be looking at somebody else saying, oh, they've got those attributes, those skill sets, that profile because they went to university, and I've got this profile because I did an apprenticeship, not a degree? Should we be?
I don't think it matters anymore. I really do not think it matters anymore. At the end of the day, I now, as an employer, look at the person, which university they went to. I think the biggest accolade for me a school or university can have from me is the type of person they deliver at the end of it. Who is that person? What's their attributes? What do they understand about life? What do they understand about the place of work? What do they understand about, if it's a specialist subject that is their chosen field of employment? And those all-round features are the ones that I now look at as an employer. I'm really not interested in the fact that someone just got a whole lot of A stars and got that and the highest level of everything. Is it because they work hard, or is it because they're just naturally bright but couldn't be asked? And I don't want somebody who's naturally bright but can't put the effort into work as a team. Because you talk about Ferrari, if I give you Ferrari without wheels on, what's going to happen to it? It ain't going very far. If I give you a Ferrari without a gearbox, it ain't going very far. If I give you a Ferrari without an engine, it ain't going very far. But if I give you a Ferrari and it's not painted red, right? And give you all the other attributes, it's still going to deliver. And so we can't just judge a book by it, just its cover. And just because I paint a car red doesn't make it a Ferrari, and it's going to go fast. I think those are the key things for me.
So, opportunities. There are opportunities that present themselves in a very structured format, and there are opportunities that present themselves out of the blue. If you were talking to our audience today, my last question before I go to the audience for some of their questions, if you were talking to the audience today and giving them a bit of advice on how to look for an opportunity this week, today, what should people be doing?
I keep talking about this about I sometimes I bore myself, so apologies, about every single day having your eyes open. I know you're going to say to me, of course I open my eyes. I'd bump into everything if I didn't open my eyes. But what do you see? Do you go through the day walking with your eyes open but see nothing? Or do you go through the day looking at things and analyzing things and imagining things, visualizing? And see it, and that's where you're going to see the opportunities, where others won't see the opportunities.
Is there opportunity in failure?
There is definitely opportunity in failure, and that's something within this particular country, and we're clearly in the UK, that we've really not been very good at. I mean, God forbid somebody fails. That's it. We put them in the dust cart, in the dustbin. That's it. We don't want to talk about them. They can't go on in life. They can't be successful. That's absolute nonsense. It's the way we treat failure that defines us. It's the way that we treat failure that makes us. It's the way we recognize failure that makes us successful. And those are key parts. As I said earlier, anyone who says they've never failed is a liar. Right? That's as simple as that. Or I could take that back. That's not fair. Or they've actually never done anything. So to fail. Because they've never achieved anything. They've never gone to achieve anything. They've sat down, spent their days in front of the television. That's it. Get out there. And whilst I'm not a gambling man, I do like calculated risks. I do love calculated risks. But I don't go to the bookies and gamble. I'm talking about in business, in life. And go out there, calculate the risks of something. Right? And then if it makes sense, give it a go. That doesn't mean you bet the farm. It's a calculated risk. That doesn't mean you bet everything, go all in, and if you lose, you're dead. But explore. And now and again, when you do that, and I have many times, I graze my knees, graze my elbows, get a little bit hurt, and get a bang on the head down again. But you've got to accept it. If you ski with fear, you're going to hurt yourself. If you ski and say, yeah, I'm likely to tumble because I'm going to push the boundary, guess what happens? You tumble, but you bounce straight back up again.
That's an excellent line to end on. So don't ski with fear.
Don't ski with
fear. Don't be afraid of a bump here and there.
Because you aren't going to fall over. So accept it and move on.
It's been a pleasure to talk during conversation, but I have monopolized the conversation, and I'm conscious that we have our audience there who have been submitting questions. Many of them have come through, and there is a brilliant team who are popping them into themes for us. So I think we have our first question, which you and I can see on the screen in front of us. So I shall read it for all of our audience. So this particular question is related to confidence and to imposter syndrome. And it says, I don't really see myself as entrepreneurial. Does that matter? And how can I start to think differently?
Ooh. Yes, it does.
It does?
It does matter. Because if you don't dream, you don't imagine, you don't visualize, guess what? It's never going to happen. So we've got to stop that. I don't know who told you that you're not entrepreneurial. I don't know who this person is, whether it's a boy, girl, or whatever, but the fact is we're all entrepreneurial. We're every single day we're making decisions. We're making decisions what to wear, how we want to look, how we're going to go to work, what we're going to be eating. We're making decisions. Being entrepreneurial is exactly that. You're making decisions.
Second question. I'm quite experienced in my role, but I still don't feel confident putting myself forward for new opportunities. How should I get past that?
These are difficult questions to answer because you don't know the individual. I'm quite experienced in my role. It's an interesting one. So I don't know how many years experience you've had. But you had, let's imagine you're going to say to me, I'm quite experienced. So 10 years? Could say if someone's quite experienced. I think 10 All right, 10 years. Okay. 10 years. So you're 10 years experience. Or have you had a 1 year experience 10 times? That's the $6 million question. Is it the same experience 10 times? So, and that takes you on to the word opportunity. You've never taken the opportunity if that's what you've had. You just keep doing the same thing.
Somebody once said to me, what more are you going to gain from that role? You've been doing it for so many years. What What more is
Yeah.
there? Because you are just treading water doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So, still on the theme of confidence and imposter syndrome. And thank you to the audience for these questions. With technology advancing as rapidly as it is, I feel like I'm behind the younger generation who are born into technology. How do I give myself the best chance when I lack digital confidence? It could have been me then, right there.
I know, that's nonsense. It's another, no. Well, if you lack digital confidence because you've just decided you lack digital confidence. Do you know what? When I went to school, there was no calculators. We just talked about that earlier, right? So I'm the last person to enjoy. I am a proper techie. Everything that comes out, I want to know. I want to know it, and I have it, whether it's a watch or whatever. But you know, I love technology. I can't get enough of it. And if you want some more confidence, go into YouTube, right? Find what rocks your boat in technology, and you'll be served with a ton of videos about that particular technology. And by the time you've watched them, you probably won't go to bed for about a week because these things grab you. And then I'll watch one more, and one more. Then you stay awake all night watching these blasted things. And it leads you. So you will learn, you can educate yourself so easily on something as simple as YouTube. Type in the things that you haven't got confidence about, and I will guarantee you within 1 week, you'll be an authority on that subject.
My boiler broke the other day, and I did exactly that. I typed it in, I learnt what I needed to do, I fixed it. It's a whole new skill.
Was it your thermocoupler?
It wasn't, no.
No.
No, it was my water pressure.
Your water pressure. There you go.
Pressure. I'm moving us on to a different theme now. Our theme is careers and skills. So thank you to the audience for this one. What emerging trends do you expect will create the most career opportunities over the next decade? And how can students best prepare themselves to take advantage of these opportunities?
Okay. Unlike any other time in history, the career opportunities that will avail themselves in 10 years' time haven't been invented yet. And that is a serious issue because, again, going back 100 years ago, so I came to this country in 1966. I was a young lad. And quite honestly, as I grew up in life, nothing much changed during my lifetime. I say nothing much changed. We got a color television, black and white. We got more than 2 channels on the television. Let's see what came next that was massive. We already had radio. We then got, yes. So we got VHS recorders. You could record on, first of all, music, audio cassettes. Then you could record video on video cassettes. These are all things that you can time shift. Because if you miss something on television, you missed it. You can never catch to watch it again. But then all of a sudden, you could put a cassette in and record it. You could record music. Then we got CDs. Then we got Blu-rays. Then we got, I forgot the calculator, 1976 calculators. Then early 80s, personal computers. So it took a while, but the rate of change now, if you think that AI improves itself by many factors every 3 months, and that's compounding, right? That is so dangerous. And I know of a multinational company, a huge company. I was at their offices recently, and I was seeing some of the latest tech that they're bringing out. And I said, well, where are you going to make your income in 3 years' time from? And they said, I don't know. And this is a huge corporation. And they couldn't tell me where the majority of their income is going to come from in 3 years' time. So the answer to that question is eyes, look,
which brings us very neatly back to the theme of today, which was about behaviours and attributes and skills, agility. I've picked out 4 that we've mentioned during our talk today: curiosity, grit, resilience, and confidence. All really important attributes that I have no doubt our audience on the other side of the camera already have, but can continue to enhance. So it just leaves me to say, thank you very much for your time today. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to our academic community on the other side of the other side of the camera. It's fabulous to have you with us, and we've very much enjoyed talking to you today and receiving some of your questions. We know that you're very keen on your entrepreneurial journeys to make sure you succeed, and we're here to support you. And I include Theo in that. He's part of our academic community, and he, like many of our other entrepreneurs, businesses that we work with, are here to support you. So please do call us in whatever way if you need our support to take you on your journey. I'm going to close with, I think, a very important quote from today, which is, "Don't ski with fear."
And before you close, I would like to leave our audience with one other thing that, as you know, I've read into the questions and I really got to say it. Please don't be scared to dream. Without dreams, things can't come true. I still dream. Dreams are very, very important. And so there was a few bits and pieces in there that I thought, well, people are too scared to dream that they could achieve something. Don't be frightened to dream. And dreams do come true.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A pleasure.